Here's my personal version of the Tonnam G3. Here are the stats for my personal Tonnam G3. The center of gravity is about 9.6 centimeters from the front and about 9.6 centimeters from the back. The overall length for this mod is 19.1 centimeters, and the mass for this mod is 15.9 grams. Here are the pens you will need. 1 metal G3, 1 G2, 1 any ball for the grip, 1 Pentel RSVP. If you're going to use an RSVP colors for this mod, note that they don't come with a ball in the cap. You're going to need another RSVP that has the ball that is the same color as the colors that you will be using. And 5 HGGs. Since you'll only need 1 HGG for the grip, I recommend just getting some Penwish subs so you don't have to buy 5 HGGs. It's quite a lot. This will just make your mod way more expensive than it has to be. But if you want to go the old-fashioned way, you can get 5 HGGs. Just know that you only really need the tips and you only need the grip for 1 of the HGGs. Here are the tools you will need. Let's get started. Take your G3 and completely disassemble the pen. Remove any stickers or logos if you have them. Take your X-Acto knife and cut the G3 grip nicely between both sets of squares. Now tape your G3 grip in the shape of a cone starting from the second ring. Now take your nail cutters and cut down the little squares on the G3. Take some electrical tape and wrap both the threads and the barrel. Now file down the remainder of the little squares and the bump before the threads until they are flush with the barrel. This should take quite a bit. After rinsing, your barrel should look something like this. Take one of your HGGs and remove the tip and the grip. Take your HGG grip and cut 1.3 centimeters off of the ring side. Now take this grip section and put it on the front of the G3. Take your G2 and remove the grip. Take your G2 grip and cut off 5 rings. Take your any ball grip and cut 4 sections off of the long side. Now cut off 3 more sections and then 2 more sections. Discard the last 2 sections. Now take your RSVP and remove the cap. If you're using an RSVP colors, take the ball from another RSVP cap by either using a hot needle to poke the ball out or cutting the ball out with a saw. Now take your RSVP cap and remove the clip. Bend the clip and twist it so it will break off. Trim and file the cap as needed. Now take your ball and put it in the colors cap. Take the other 4 HGGs and remove the tips. Now take 2 HGGs and put them inside the RSVP cap. Make sure the HGG tips line up with the ball inside the cap. Now take your G3 grip in the shape of a cone and put it inside the RSVP cap. Take your 2 sections of any ball and put them inside the G3 grip. Take one of your HGG tips and put it inside the G3 grip. Now take your metal G3 and screw it on the front. Take the 2 remaining HGGs and tape them on the front of the metal G3. Now take your G2 grip and put it on the front. Take your 3 section of any ball and put it on top of the G2 grip with the thick side facing outwards. Now take your 4 section of any ball and put it on top of the G2 with the long side facing outwards. Take some electrical tape and wrap the back of your G3 body with 1 layer. If you have an insert, put it inside the body and put the cap on the back of the pen. And that's it. That's how you make my personal version of the Tonnam G3. Here are the main differences between my personal Tonnam and the original Tonnam G3. For the original Tonnam, Tonnam uses an L5, which is similar to the Super Grip, but for my personal Tonnam, I use a G2 instead, which is easier to get. Just note that the G2 is a thinner grip, but it's also a bit longer, and the weight difference of the G2 is about 0.07 to 0.15 grams heavier, so this might have a weight difference on the front. Another difference is that the original Tonnam uses this smooth part of the Super Grip and the front 2 rings, while my Tonnam is all one piece and it uses 3 rings, so that's a bit longer. For the original Tonnam, the front grip is actually cut to 5 rings instead of 4. So when you cut the grip for the original Tonnam, it actually goes 5, and then 3, and then 2. Another thing to note is that the original Tonnam, the HDG grip is cut to 1.3 centimeters, while mine is cut to 1.7 centimeters. In the original Tonnam, Tonnam doesn't file down this little bump before the threads. He only files down the little squares on the G3. For the back cap, Tonnam actually puts an insert around the G3 grip instead of putting this little piece of tape, much like the 7G3. He also takes off the G3 grip as one piece instead of cutting it and then taping it together. However, I think that removing it in one piece is kind of unnecessary because Tonnam ends up folding the grip when you put the insert over it, because otherwise your grip won't really fit into your cap. It also fits a bit nicer when you cut it, so you can kind of roll it up a little bit. Otherwise, you can just remove it and it'll be just one piece. For the 2 HGG tips that are directly in the back, Tonnam actually tapes them together so they don't rattle. But for my personal Tonnam, I just put it straight in and make sure that they make contact with the ball so it doesn't rattle. And for the last tip that you put in the mod, Tonnam actually puts it in like this. But in my personal one, I actually prefer to put the tip in like this because it makes the mod feel more even. When you put the tip in like this, it makes it really back heavy and it kind of feels weird, but you do get a little bit more momentum out of it. But for me personally, after spinning this mod for a long time, I actually prefer the tip like this, so it feels even and it feels really nice and smooth. I would like to end this tutorial by saying, if you're wondering where that video I posted a few days ago went, surprise, it's actually this tutorial. Once I get some new parts to make the original Tonnam, I'll go ahead and redo this tutorial so it's the same as the original tutorial. I didn't want to keep you guys from not having a new video for too long, so I decided to post this video again as it is, and just add this stuff at the end. After all these years, I found out I actually made the Tonnam G3 incorrectly, as Coffee Lucky has pointed out. I made this mod before there was Google Translate, so I just tried to make the best out of what I saw. I was trying to save the any ball grip on the front here. I also cut the HGG grip and the G2 grip pretty long. I also took some shortcuts here in the cap, and I took a shortcut here on the G3 barrel. I just took another G3 barrel to put it all together. But it turns out the mod is very different from what this is. I couldn't really check if this was the original mod or if this was something I messed around with because the pictures aren't up anymore. For my personal version shown in this video, I think that this is pretty great. The center of gravity is right here at the center of the pen, and it spins pretty evenly on both sides, so it's pretty nice. I would like to say that this pen mod is pretty much one of my all-time favorites. It's one of the very few mods that made into my UPSB pen case, so if you make it in here, this mod has to be pretty nice. And even though it's pretty different, I really like how this spins. And I definitely been spinning this for a really long time. As you can see, the new one I just made is pretty shiny and silver, but this one has aged quite a bit. And if you guys like how all of my pen mods spin that I've been posting and stuff, you'll definitely like this one. This is a much more smooth pen. And because the tip is moved forward here, and you have that really big G3 tip, it kind of feels like it's center heavy, and it spins really smooth and slow. If you guys want to try it out like this, maybe change up some of the grips here in the front, make sure this is like a super grip and stuff, you guys can go ahead and do that. I just really wanted you guys to see this and to also have a really nice tutorial since I haven't had a tutorial in a while. So as always, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.